Welcome back, everybody, to the Beggars Canyon Boys. This is episode number 45. I'm Jackson, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, the only guy I know who agreed to get the surgery with me to put a third arm sticking straight up on his back. We decided to get the Zillow Beast surgery together, and we are both attaching a third arm to our back. So it's
I get
Ryan.
the impenetrability of the Zillow Beast with that. I don't know, man. Maybe that's worth it.
Yeah, you can still be gassed to death, though.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. But most things in life wouldn't affect me.
True. Yeah, we're talking more Clone Wars Season 2 today. We've got 4 episodes to go through. We have got Cat and Mouse, Bounty Hunters, right? It's just called Bounty Hunters, right?
Yeah, it is.
The Zillow Beast, and then the Zillow Beast Strikes Back. Yeah, these are episodes 16 through 19. And we only have 3 episodes left of Season 2 after this.
Oh, wow. We going to round it out next episode then?
Yep, we'll finish it up and probably add in a little something extra, but I'll save it.
Okay.
But yeah, what generally were you a fan of these episodes today?
The first, I feel like you had maybe texted me something like you weren't impressed by or didn't like these episodes that much. The first one, I did like, actually. I thought it was pretty fun. The second one, it was annoying and frustrating and bad, I think.
Yep.
And then the Zilla Beast ones, I think, are pretty good.
I agree. Yeah. The Zilla Beast ones to me are definitely the highlight. And then yeah, I pretty much totally agree with what you said. Cat and Mouse is fun. It serves as a prequel to everything we have seen in Clone Wars. It is the earliest episode continuity-wise. This happens right before the Hidden Enemy episode where there's the clone traitor, and then that happens right before the Clone Wars movie. So,
Yeah, they were mentioning Christophus, so yeah.
yes, and Ahsoka's nowhere to be found. Yeah, we've got Bail Organa in this one, not really doing anything. But this is our introduction to Admiral Trench.
He's cool, dude. I actually like him. I didn't think I'd like him when I first saw his design.
Yeah. I remember thinking the same thing when I was a kid, but I do like him.
He's kind of just like a spider, or like the dude from Monsters Inc., the bad guy boss that runs things.
Yeah, Mr. Waternoose.
Oh, okay, yeah. Huh.
His species is a harch. And
Cool.
they are from Secundus Ondo, so now you know.
Cool planet name. Secundus Ondo.
That is cool.
Hailing from the far planet of Secundus Ondo. Admiral Trench.
The Harch Empire. So yeah, he's like a tactical general. Yeah, I would say this episode kind of feels like a little bit childish and very much like it feels like those early episodes of season 1 that are just kind of like, okay, like this is like a fun cartoon, but it's not really getting into like the craziness of some of these episodes that have been more recent.
Also, the message is kind of bad, don't you think? Like, it was like, hey, well, it starts with like, hey, sometimes to be a leader, like you actually have to follow. And then Anakin doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, Anakin was right by the end of the episode. It's like, yeah, it was good. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Even Obi-Wan by the end of the episode is like, well, I don't like that you didn't listen to me, but you got the job done, so it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Which, again, like, the fact that it is a little bit childish and cloaked in this kid's cartoon makes me want to look for, like, the obvious lesson. And they seem to want you to do that, too, with, like, you know, opening text showing a moral lesson or whatever.
Yeah.
But then every episode seems to actually be like very gray and contradictory and conflicting, which is cool if intentional. But sometimes it's hard to tell like how much is intentional.
Just struck me as super odd in this case specifically because like it was even less great. I mean, it was more like no, Obi-Wan was wrong here. Like they could have done both, and Anakin was correct. And I was like, was is Obi-Wan the leader who's supposed to follow Anakin here? That doesn't really
Yeah.
align with like what we've seen from the rest of the series, though. Also, and like I feel like we've kind of been getting hammered with like Anakin does constantly, divert from plans like this. He doesn't listen, and that's part of like his character flaw that's eventually going to lead him down the path to the dark side.
Yeah.
So it's like, what?
Yeah. I know it's strange. It's like these things are celebrated within the episode because it's like, oh, he got the job done. But I wonder if they're celebrated with like a little tinge of apprehension or whatever. I mean, I think perfectly captured in the Voyage of Temptation episode where he kills that guy that was about to blow up the ship with Satine and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Like, I was supposed to. That, to me, feels very intentionally, like, tonally strange. And it's like, yeah, he got the job done, but he did this. And it's clear that everybody's like, whoa, that was weird and crazy.
Yeah.
That is when they do it well, I think. And this one, like, they could have had something like that, like when he finally does, like, clip the top of the ship and explode Trench's cabin or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
they could have had a moment like that where it's like, ooh, yikes.
That was
But
very cool, though. Also, so all the space battles in like that's why I really enjoyed this episode. It looked wonderful,
yeah,
and all of like the space maneuvering was really fun for me.
dude, when he so essentially that there's nothing crazy going on in this episode other than like plot wise, I mean, other than like there's this guy Trench who's like a tactician, and then they have this new uh, ship that has like cloaking abilities, and it looks uh, like a dart or
It's like a wooden stake almost, like turned into a ship.
yeah, totally. It makes me think of something in particular, but I can't think of it. Maybe if this isn't actually what it makes me think of, but I was thinking maybe if I look down at my lap or something, I can figure out what it reminds me of. But there is a part where he flies it straight through like the volley of lasers that's coming down like
Yeah.
up through this cylinder, and he's maneuvering, and that was a moment where I was like, okay, like Anakin is kind of a badass, and like
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh my god, and he's like, it's fine. That
The
was
back
cool.
and forth tactics are very fun in it too. Like I just like seeing them being like, okay, like oh my god, torpedoes are incoming. We need to like let off the flares so that they'll catch that instead. Like all of that stuff from both perspectives, I think is just like really entertaining to watch. And it reminds me of when we were reading Heir to the Empire and like Thrawn was doing his thing, you know?
Yep, totally. It is like a nice little microcosm of that. Trench is kind of the Clone Wars version of Thrawn, a little bit. Well, he doesn't have nearly as big of a presence, I guess, but
Are we gonna see him again?
I don't know. It looks like he blew up in that accident, but we did hear about him before that the commanders don't always die with their ships, so
He was allegedly vaporized before, and yet here he is again. So
yeah, so
I like that
we-
little war story about him too. I think that's really cool to like build the backstory of it and being like, there's kind of this legend about him. I fought with him back then, so let me be your advisor to it. Very cool stuff, honestly.
yeah, this was like a lot of Yularen stuff in this
He's
one.
cool. I like it.
Yeah. And it was cool seeing like him and Anakin's first mission together, presumably. You
Yeah.
know, the way they were acting, he was very much like not ready for Anakin's style, and then by the end, he's like, "I respect you."
Yeah.
It was really funny when they pulled up the information on Trench on the computer, and it was like, okay, this is literally just like the concept art for Trench.
I
But
thought the exact same thing. It's so funny, but I was like pretty cool though. Actually, like that makes sense as the wanted poster or whatever they had, the information they have on
yeah,
it.
well, it makes sense, and like shout out to whoever drew the concept art for him because they get their time in the sun. But it was just funny. Yeah, this was directed by. Well, this will not be who did the concept art for him. I don't know that, but directed by Kyle Dunleavy and written by Brian Larson. Kyle Dunleavy did the Mandalore plot, but we haven't seen any of his other episodes yet. But he does quite a few. And then Brian Larson looks like he did the Mystery of a Thousand Moons and Landing Point Rain. Yeah. Okay, and now this website is recommending me to go and look at Thomas the Tank Engine wiki lore, and it's tempting, but we're not going to do that.
That's up your alley. So
Yeah. There's something that this episode really made me think of, and I wonder if you have this, I guess, problem. I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but I really like most of the Clone Wars character designs, voice acting, and characterization. But to me, while I think they generally do a good job of writing Anakin and the things he does are cool and interesting, the voice acting and the design for Anakin, more than anyone else, really kind of just makes me not fully be able to click with him. Like, and I think so yeah, it's Matt Lanter who does the voice acting for him, and he does a fine job. I really don't think he does a bad job at all. But what's just strange is that pretty much everybody else is doing an impression of the movie characters,
yeah,
and he's not. And he sounds very different than Hayden Christensen, talks in a very different way, and looks not really like him either, which maybe was all intentional and whatever. But to me, it's different than something like Marvel, where you have a bunch of different artists like drawing people, and in Star Wars the likenesses of the characters are so tied to the actors that play them in the movie, and every representation of those characters is based off of like the actors in the movies. And I think it becomes especially ingrained especially when you're a kid and you don't really know actors
yeah.
at all, and like these people kind of are these actors. But like that's the thing about Star Wars too, is like there are definitely exceptions, but like most of the people are mostly known for Star Wars. Like, other than like Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson and stuff, like Hayden Christensen, like, yeah, he's in other stuff, but like Star Wars is by far the biggest thing he's ever been a part of.
What about
And
Ewan McGregor? I know he does a lot of other stuff, but would you say maybe still he kind of is just more known for Star Wars?
I think mostly, yeah, like he's kind of right on the edge, but because he's definitely acted in a ton of stuff, but I still think it's the biggest things that he's done and the thing he's known the most for. Like Natalie Portman, no, but yeah, I mean the characters are just so like, the actors that play them are the characters, and they
Yeah.
really disappear into those roles. And then a lot of the roles are not human or whatever. So like, James Earl Jones done a ton of stuff, but like Darth Vader, is Darth Vader. That's like different. Um, but anyway, I guess my point is like it's hard for me to think of this Anakin as like real Anakin, like the same Anakin from the movies. Whereas like in the Tarkovsky Clone Wars, that Anakin is exactly like Hayden Christian, like the way he sounds and looks and everything. So it's a lot easier to, in my mind, like bridge that gap and make them be like the same person in my head. But for some reason, like, yeah, I just can't like fully get on board with Anakin in these. I want to, but yeah,
Yeah, it's funny you say that about Anakin because, so I guess I've never really thought about it in the context of his voice, but I do really like the voice actor who did it in the Tarkovsky series. But I am also with you in opposition to his design. It's like a very weird scrunched face that looks like I don't know if I painted an old ad of like a 50s family, like that's sort of what the stereotypical dad I think would look like, and they gave Anakin that face.
yeah,
And it doesn't fit to me, and it's a little weird. But I also feel the same way about Padme. I think Padme doesn't look like Padme very much to me, and I don't think she sounds like Padme very much to me either.
yeah. You're definitely right. She doesn't sound like her. To me, the look is pretty good, but it's kind of more looking like Ariana Grande, like in Wicked, like super Skeletor mode.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. What can I say about this? Is this like eggshells to walk on here? Can I say looking emaciated? Like,
She's so wealthy and doing just fine. I think it's
Yeah.
okay.
but to me, I mean, I really dislike Padme's design. Her design is just kind of like, I don't know, her head shape's weird and off to me.
The
And
cheeks are
she's so
insane.
pointy. Yeah.
Yeah, the sunkenness of the cheeks and the skeletal level of the face is pretty wild for Padme. I agree. But yeah, I don't know. I just, even in like Anakin's really big moments, it's still just like doesn't feel, and like the voice acting, like he's okay, but when he's like Commander, Commander, stuff like when the hologram's breaking up or whatever, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, man. I mean, it's hard. I know.
I wonder if they like put some thought into this, and maybe they were thinking maybe it sounds a little silly if he's kind of got that New York twang to him or whatnot, but
Yeah.
that's like kind of part of the character, and it's a good
I
part. I
know.
like it a lot. I mean, that was very enjoyable when we got to see like Christian Haydenson take on the role for the first time ever. Like it's fun. And it works. I think.
Totally. And he's kind of trying to like find a halfway point between Jake Lloyd, little Anakin, and like James Earl Jones. And I don't know like necessarily why that's what he landed on for that, but like to me it is awesome. I love the way he talks. And yeah, I would love to hear that voice all through this series
Jar
too.
Jar.
But Ahsoka,
Admiral Trench. I can't even do it.
Admiral Trench, this is the last time you stop me and Obi-Wan.
That kind of sounds
Something
better,
like-
man. That sounds good. Hey, you know what's funny? I also Obi-Wan in this episode says something where it almost sounds like they used the exact same voice clip than they did in a Satine episode, which was him saying, "That's no good" or "That's not good." And I was like, "Is this a new catchphrase of Obi-Wan or something?" Like when
That's not good.
when the like
Yeah.
assassin droids are making their way to the like dining room or whatever, he reports to Anakin. And he goes, "That's not good." And then he says the same way in this
Yeah.
episode for another reason. I was like, "Oh, okay. Is this like another one of his? Is that one of his phrases, or did they just like kind of rewrite that in twice?"
I don't know. I guess I can imagine. I will need to keep an eye on that and see if he says it more. But it does, in my head, sort of subconsciously I can see him saying that a bunch of times, but
It
I
made
don't
me laugh each time. That's why it stands out to me because it's just like I don't know. This like regal way of stressing out is very funny.
totally. It's just another version of I've got a bad feeling about this,
Yeah,
which I think Yularen says in this one.
yeah. Didn't
Um,
notice.
Classic. I guess that's just kind of in the Star Wars universe. The most common colloquial phrase. Everybody just likes saying, "I've got a bad feeling about this."
Maybe, yeah. People need to start dropping more. This deal's getting worse all the times.
Yeah. Yeah. The terms of this deal have changed in a way that I dislike more and more each time. All right. Shall we move on to the Bounty Hunters episode?
Yeah, and there are positives this episode. I was a little harsh to it, when we were just doing our overview. But there's some really cool moments to this, but they're few and far between, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I agree with you that visually it looks nice. The space battle tactics are pretty satisfying. It just
I
like
meant
that's
the bounty hunter one. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too for the bounty hunter one. But the last thing I'll say about the cat and mouse that I just remembered was it's kind of funny how a lot of times the bad guys like Trench or Grievous or Dooku or whatever Nemoidian we saw on the ship that Anakin like smashed the Venator into. They're often just kind of like chilling with like chat bots, essentially. They're just like alone in a room with a bunch of robots and they have to just talk to like these robots. I don't know.
It makes when he called Anakin's ship, it really made sense that he was like monologuing there. Because if you recall, he basically says nothing of substance. Like there's no really pitter patter back and forth. He's just like monologuing about like how he's going to win. And that's the only reason he called. It's like,
yeah,
bro just needed someone to talk to. Like,
totally.
Jeez.
They're probably all like pretty hungry for some interaction with another living thing.
Echo chamber, little droid echo chamber.
I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, poignant. If you remember that old.
Of course I do. And I thought you came at me in a YouTube comment from some hidden account because literally like a week after you told me that, someone was like, "Why do Americans pronounce things so weirdly?" And they called me out for my pronunciation of that.
Yeah, that was me.
No, you and your anti-American rhetoric.
I didn't do that. Okay, so yeah, we got the Bounty Hunters one.
By the way, can I just say, how fascinating. What a interesting connection that the episode was called Cat and Mouse, and you brought up Ariana Grande, who played Cat in Sam and Cat. Okay, we can move on now.
Wow, that is really fascinating. If they make like trivia about our episodes, they should put that in there.
Just when things like that happen, and it's the universe in alignment, and it's saying, "Hey, you're in the right place at the right time, buddy." So where we
keep
need
on
to
doing
be,
what
dude.
you're doing. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you for that.
Hey, thank you.
The Bounty Hunters one starts off with a big dedicated to Akira Kurosawa title card, which is pretty interesting. This episode is based off of Seven Samurai, the movie. It essentially is just exactly the plot of that movie, but with a Star Wars skin slapped over it, which to me is pretty pointless to do. I understand that you want to pay homage to Akira Kurosawa because Star Wars has always been very influenced by him. From the very first movie, people often say that is super based on the Hidden Fortress Akira Kurosawa movie. However, it is still extremely different, even if it is taking elements from those types of stories. This one is essentially taking elements from Star Wars and putting them into an Akira Kurosawa story, which is, to me, not very interesting or worthwhile. It's not terrible, but it really does feel like a totally out of place episode where they're just like, okay, like what characters do we have that could like fit into these archetypes, and let's just like have them do their thing. Um, I will say we do get introduced to the bounty hunter Embo in
So
this
cool.
one,
He's
and
the
Embo
coolest.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he snaps 2 necks in this episode also.
Uh-huh.
And jumping way ahead, but the little sequence of him taking out the scout is probably the highlight of the episode. Like maybe undoubtedly the coolest moment.
Oh yeah.
I also like him taking out the vehicle immediately too with this little explosion dart or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean Embo is awesome. The character design is super cool. They utilize him fighting in really cool ways. He totally establishes himself as like I'm the most badass person here. We will see more of Embo, and he is great.
But to sort of like reset back to the episode at large, I'm getting a little like I don't know, not upset but fatigued with a bunch of these episodes where it's like, okay, the Jedi's come to a planet. It's kind of like a more like indigenous vibe, and they kind of bulldoze their way into like forcing these people to do whatever they want to do, regardless of the people's views on things.
Yep.
And in this case, it's really like, well, the Jedi are truly not involved in this at all, and they come in and sort of just they're almost bullies. They're bullies to me in this episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I did find it interesting the conversation that they have between like the Jedi philosophy and the bounty hunter philosophy. That was probably like the best conversation in the episode because they are there's the kind of the leader of the bounty hunters, Suji, I forget.
Yeah, she's Darth Maul's alien race, is it?
Yep, Zabrak. She's like having a debate with Obi-Wan at the dinner table about, he's like, you guys, you're extorting these people for money. And they're like, no, we're not. They hired us. Like, they paid us to protect them, and that's what we're doing. We're not extorting them. And then they're like, so what? So you're gonna help for free? And at first they're like, well, no, we can't. We actually can't. Like, we would love to, but we have to go. And so then she's like, okay, so is this like the Jedi philosophy? You judge me and look down on me for taking money to help when like you won't help at all? Like, that was interesting to me. But
and those bounty hunters, respectable. They stood by their deal when Hondo Naka comes in and is like, hey, I'll double the price if you guys just like step aside. You quite literally have to do nothing here and you'll make double the money. They don't like acquiesce to that, and they stick with their deal. They're respectable crew.
I totally agree. They were actually like very nice in this one.
Also, it's funny, like in juxtaposition of the next episode, when the Jedi are like kind of literally going to that planet and making a deal just for fuel. It's like, well, guys, you're like you do the same stuff. Like you are also in it for your own personal gain for wartime. Like, wins. What do you mean? Like, as long as people are protected and safe, that seems to be like you guys are kind of aligned here, like on the same side.
They just, once again, they think they have some kind of moral high ground.
And I was quite upset the way they were so dismissive of like the kind of turtle-esque people that lived on that village, where they're like, why are we paying the bounty hunters to protect us if you're just gonna make us protect ourselves? Like, that's a really valid point, I think. Like, and they're just like, well, whatever. You need to. What happens when more come? And it's like, well, okay, but that's not really what we're talking about in this exact moment. And I don't know. They could just hire more bounty hunters if that's the case. Like, why do they? Whatever.
True. They seem to be actually financially doing quite well because they have that Nicylene crop or whatever that they're kind of wealthy off of. But so they can probably afford to just keep hiring more people. But yeah, Hondo was annoying in this one too. Like, he's he's just like pretty much straight up evil in this one, but they still want to like have him be like, oh, I'm just like a little trickster and I play both sides and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
like in his personality, but then like he's like super threatening and he's like saying he's gonna come and like kill all these civilians and everything. I'm like, I don't. That's a little intense for Hondo, I feel like, but whatever.
Yeah. But I guess he does revert back to sort of at the end. He's just like, "Oh, this isn't profitable. Goodbye." So,
Yep. Nice anticlimactic ending.
yeah, yeah, weird episode. But like I said, there's some cool fight scenes in it and whatnot. It's also really funny that they're like, "We don't have weapons," and they take their little like I don't know farming tools. That's not also really gonna do too much against guns, but okay.
Yeah, they have speeders and assault rifles. Like Anakin showing off him like flipping around the farming tool, and then everybody's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
So actually, it is a good weapon.
Yeah, if we only joined like color guard, we'd be really good at fighting. Woohoo! What?
It is exactly that.
You know, as they were coming to like the little village and the civilization, I was thinking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was like, oh, this series is similar to Avatar sometimes, where like they go because Avatar they travel all across the nations, go to like little villages and everything. And there's always a little problem there. So I was like, oh, there's a little bit of similarity to that. And then the main like benefactor of these people is voiced by Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, okay. That is. I guess that is just like such a classic type of story
Yeah.
to tell. Like the samurais come into the village and they're like, "No, we can't help. We're on a mission." And then they're like, "Okay, well, we'll help."
Yeah.
But that is funny. I didn't realize that was the same person. But it does sound like him. So
Yeah.
I thought also so Hondo has two different Kowakian monkey lizards that show up on his shoulders in different episodes. And this one is Pick Muck Muck.
Okay.
I thought
What a
he
Pick
was
Muck Muck girl. Sorry. Okay.
huh?
Like
Oh,
Pick Me
like a
Girl,
picnic. Total Pick Muck Muck Kowakian monkey lizard.
Yeah.
I thought that Pick Muck Muck was animated extremely well, crawling around on Hondo's shoulders and stuff. So, shout
Yeah.
out.
I agree. It was cool. I didn't even think about that. Very fluid movement on that little creature.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, okay. This one directed by Stuart Lee, written by Carl Ellsworth. We've seen both of those guys a good bit already. But yeah, this one I was like, what's the point of doing an homage episode like this if you're literally not going to say anything different or like there's not really a point to it.
Also, a really weird Churchill reference that Hondo Ohnaka makes when he's like, as I say, like, speak softly and carry a big tank or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
wonder
who's
who
that
said
for?
that. In Star Wars, who was the great leader who first said that?
yeah, just
Maybe
funny.
it was Hondo. Maybe
I mean,
Hondo
I
just
don't really
invented.
mind that, but it's just like every once in a while there's something like that takes you out of like the space, it's like a soap opera of Star Wars, and you're like, oh, you guys just made a reference to like, I guess a lot of the things are like metaphors for real history, but to kind of go like almost 1-to-1 with it is a little strange.
Yeah, you can just. It's a thin veil that can be just like shattered sometimes.
Like if Anakin like kneeled down to Ahsoka and was like, ask not what like the Jedi can do for you, but what you
Yeah,
can do for
yeah.
the Jedi, I'd be like, what?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And Obi-Wan's like, keep calm and Jedi on.
Dude, I would love that on a poster. When we get our podcast studio, we're gonna deck that baby out.
Oh yeah, it's gonna say keep calm and Jedi on. Oh, come on, I can think of another one.
You need like a live, laugh, love equivalent.
The Force.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, it'll say the Force 3 times. Um, okay, sorry. Let's move on to the next episode, unless you have anything else you want to say about.
No, maybe I should watch the movie it was based on.
Uh, yeah, I've actually never seen it. I've o- I, it's such a blind spot for me. The classic Akira Kurosawa movies. I've seen Rashomon, and I've seen Throne of Blood, which is just Macbeth. Um,
Cool.
it's really cool. And then I think I've seen one more. Yeah, but I've never seen Yojimbo or Seven Samurai. But I've seen the Dollars trilogy, which
So,
is based off of those movies.
oh, okay, I was gonna say, so these are like old school samurai movies.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a genre I don't think I've really seen much, if anything, of like traditionally. So I'd be interested in checking some of those out.
I mean, he's like an incredible filmmaker and like really a huge influence on a lot of American filmmakers of like the late 60s and stuff because he was doing movies in like the late 50s, early 60s in Japan that really big boundary breaking visionary stuff.
Very cool.
Um, yeah, and it's like it's cool to like pay homage to a guy who's a lot of the aesthetics and story beats and character tropes of Star Wars come from, but you don't need to do it like this. I don't think.
Do you know? Do we get any other like episodes in the future, if Clone Wars or something else, where it's kind of like a closer one-to-one homage to another movie or something like that?
Um, Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I guess these Zillow Beast ones, I would say, are very like Godzilla and King Kong inspired. Obviously,
Yeah.
they have elements of both Godzilla and King Kong in them, but um, I can't think of any in the future off the top of my head. But I do. You remember the Lightsaber Lost episode?
Hmm.
That was also based on an Akira Kurosawa movie
Oh yeah, we
about
talked about that. Yeah.
police officer that loses his gun.
Hmm.
Um, man, I'm trying to think. Like they definitely play with genre tropes and like heist things or crime things or that kind of stuff, but I can't think of anything that is directly off the top of my head. But also, certainly the first time I was watching this when I was a kid, I did not know who Akira Kurosawa was when I was 11 years old or whatever. So,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm just not remembering. Um, but yeah, next up we got the 2-part episode, the Zillow Beast and the Zillow Beast Strikes Back. Um, these are pretty sad.
I was gonna say really sad episodes. Not not fun. I mean, good episodes, but just like yucky episodes. Especially, it
Big
just leaves you feeling like that. I guess, which is kind of the point, that the Jedi are so corrupted by like Palpatine that it's super detrimental to everything they're trying to do. So their resistance to the Swore seems super futile. It's just like a depressing episode.
Totally. This is one of the bigger Palpatine episodes we've gotten, if not the most Palpatine focused an episode has been, especially the second one. But you're totally right. There's so much like, I guess, focus on how inefficient and gross the whole political landscape is, and how the Jedi are like, okay, like no, this is a Jedi matter. We're doing this without the approval of the Republic. We don't need the approval of the Republic. We can do stuff just as Jedi. And then the Republic and Palpatine are like, okay, but actually, like when we decide that we want to do something, that that supersedes whatever your guy's mandate is, and you have to follow us and listen to us.
And Anakin doesn't. He's like so on Palpatine's side that he never
Yep.
pushes back against any of this stuff, and it's super frustrating to watch.
You would think he would care a little more about the life of this creature, and it's actually like quite good characterization all around, I think, for Mace Windu and Obi-Wan, because Mace Windu is it cares about this thing not getting killed, but in a very pragmatic way, like as is typical for him. He's like,
Yeah.
well, no, we can't kill it because it might be the last of its kind, and that would be eliminating a species. But he doesn't actually really have much like empathy for it, I guess. He just is like, oh, that's what the Jedi are supposed to do, so we better do that.
Yeah, Padme's kind of the empathetic voice piece
Yep.
for it in
Yep.
this episode. I think she's also the one that like sort of identifies that maybe this thing is a lot more intelligent and sentient than everyone is assuming. Also, but they're like they just kind of wave that off. They're like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, the Doctor understands that too, but she's just totally manipulated and
Gosh,
corrupted.
that I also think was such an interesting thing for this to show us, because I know we've talked about it before, like the makeup of the actual political body of Coruscant and like the Republic and whatnot,
Yeah.
and how like they eventually get to their end point of like what we see in the films, but it's like very clear now, like we've talked about it, I know, but like Palpatine will surround himself with like loyalists and sycophants, and we've seen what he'll do if someone like disagrees and wants to move away from that. He was quite literally like, "We'll just replace you with someone who will do it," which not to make too big connections to current government, but just like I was like, man, this is very similar. It seems to current government things and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Absolutely. It's like if you want your job, you're gonna do exactly what I say right now, because
Yeah.
there are tons of people waiting in the wings. We don't need you. Yeah, this is Dr. Sion Verbol, who is a Bival from Proto Branch.
and I want to
Okay.
like her, man, but the little lack of backbone there makes it hard.
Well, totally. And she doesn't really seem to mind like torturing it beforehand when they have it captured. But yeah, we'll just do a quick rundown. Like, essentially, the Jedi are on Malastare, helping them fight against the Separatists, trying to get the Dugs to join the Republic, which is kind of interesting to me because I think last time we were talking about how the Grands were like clapping along with Padme about the army creation thing, and I'm like, wait, the Grands are from Malastare, but I know that on Malastare there's this whole culture of like the Dugs being like a subspecies to the Grands, and they are kind of like the lower class species on that planet. But then in this episode, there's really no mention of the Grands, so I don't really know where everybody is motion wise on this timeline. But the Grands essentially, or the Dugs are like, we will join the Republic if you kill this monster for us. And they're like, well, what if we just take it away? And Palpatine wants it because it, as we mentioned earlier, has pretty much impenetrable armor. And he's like, what if we made the new clone trooper armor out of this? Then my clones would be really strong. And that's pretty much it. So we've got the environmental aspect of Godzilla, because this beast is woken up by ecological destruction and weapons testing and things like that. They have this bomb that the Doctor made that is supposed to just take out electronics and not kill any life, and it does do that, but it also creates like a shockwave that opens up a big hole in the ground to release the Zillo beast. And then it's got the King Kong aspect in the second episode, rampaging through the city. Oh, it's misunderstood. It's smarter than we realize. It doesn't want to hurt anyone. It's just, scared and whatever. And like the whole thing of like, oh, we should bring it back and everybody's like, "What are you talking about? Take it to Coruscant." That's like super King Kong-y
Yeah.
there. And then yeah, they it rampages through the city. They try to help it for a while, but then eventually it's like, nah, we're probably gonna have to just kill it. And so the Jedi do end up inevitably working with Palpatine to kill this thing.
Yeah, just a terrible situation. It's sad too because one of the sadder moments of the episode for me was like pre-death of the creature, and it's when Padme, you know, kind of puts down her opinion on that, and she's like, "Well, God damn it! Like we do have to kill it now. We should have never brought it here. Like this is terrible." Like she was the advocate for it, and like also sees that as the only path forward at this point to avoid like people being slaughtered in the streets, I guess.
Yeah,
So it just sucks. It was really sad seeing her shift away from that.
I totally agree, and I think it's cool how they actually do show like the destruction it's causing. Like I feel like a lot of things would show it, like smashing buildings and things like that, but then it would be like, all right, well, it hasn't killed anyone yet, but like we need to stop it from doing that. Like, no, it's straight up like we see it kill a bunch of civilians
Yeah.
and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, pretty much we have to come to the same conclusion, and it just sucks. Like, there's no good answer, and it's like, well, yeah, it is gonna just keep killing a bunch of people, but why did we bring it here in the first place? It was just living its life on its planet.
And man, imagine if when it had in its grasp that ship with like I think Anakin was in there, Palpatine was in there, and maybe Padme was in there as well. If it just did that right there, think of all the problems that would be alleviated down the line. I mean,
But
Anakin's
Luke
gone.
would never be born.
True, the chosen one, but or no, sorry, Luke's not. Is Luke considered the chosen one as well, or is that more Anakin's thing?
I think it's Anakin.
I feel like he kind of falls into the chosen one mythos as well, though. Like when you step back and look at it, but yeah,
Definitely. But, would we have even needed a chosen one if Palpatine got killed right there?
I know. I was like, man, for someone who carefully plans things out and really seems to have many contingency plans, this could have been a big screw up from him. I mean, yeah, Palpatine almost got himself killed there.
Yes, he did. Okay, yeah, so there was a moment where Obi-Wan essentially uses Padme to manipulate Anakin, like, in the same way that Palpatine does a lot, which was weird. Like, it is for like positive ends instead of evil ends, but I don't know. It's still the same kind of thing where Obi-Wan's like, no, come here, Anakin. Like, we have to talk about this. And then Padme's there, and he essentially is just trying to like use Padme's point of view and empathy to like influence Anakin to adopt that same point of view. And it'll be like, well, we can't convince him, but maybe his girlfriend could.
It's weird to me. It doesn't really work though.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I don't know why Anakin is so like infatuated by Palpatine.
I don't know. He just thinks he's really smart, I guess. And they could have done a little more work maybe to like establish Anakin's this is a thing we talked about before about how it's a little inconsistent how much Anakin cares about like the lives of his clones. Some episodes it seems to be like really bent out of shape when any of them die, and then other ones he's a little cavalier with it. But I think it could have worked in this episode to really have him sort of say stuff like, well, like, you're not there on the front lines, like, seeing all these guys get, like, blasted down by droids all the time. I watch, like, my brothers in arms dying around me all the time. And, like, if there's anything we could do to give them more protection out in the battlefield, like,
Yeah.
that would save lives, like, then we should do it, even if it, is not pretty or whatever. Like, that seems like a real
I agree. I think sometimes they just get lazy on the justifications for why Anakin does things because they know we have the baked-in knowledge of like knowing where he ends up, so they don't
Yeah,
feel like maybe they need to fill it in as much. But I would still like to see that so the characterization doesn't feel like wonky sometimes, which we've talked about a few episodes. It does.
yeah, totally. I think, like you said, it's kind of just baked in that we know, like, well, Palpatine can sort of influence him really easily, and he kind of just does whatever Palpatine thinks is good. So,
And like I would say, like I can also buy into it a little bit because it seems to me from what we've seen, Palpatine lets Anakin do whatever he wants and often pushes for like the most aggressive tactics versus like Obi-Wan's style. So Palpatine and Anakin are aligned there, which is definitely a bad thing
yeah,
because it's Palpatine just letting Anakin feed into like those worst impulses and urges that are within him, which is maybe the long game plan there, I guess, too. But I don't know. Interesting.
totally. I mean, he's totally doing the stuff of like, oh, well, Obi-Wan always is like criticizing you and thinks you're wrong. I actually think you're really smart, and I think all your ideas are the way we should do things.
Dude, I really like Anakin, but I really like Obi-Wan. So I get pissed at Anakin when he's like pushing back against Obi-Wan like this sometimes.
I know, like every now and then, Obi-Wan is very frustrating. Like I think in the Satine episodes, it really highlights how obtuse and frustrating Obi-Wan can be sometimes. But at the end of the day, he is like pretty close to being the ideal Jedi in terms of like compassion and the balance of like pragmatism with compassion. Like
Yeah.
he's a good guy.
He just needs to stop gentle parenting Anakin. It doesn't work for him.
I mean, it kind of feels like he's given up a lot of times where he's like, well, you're not going to listen to me anyway, so why do I even bother?
Yeah, it is like that actually. And well, I guess he hasn't done it yet, but I was going to say you got to listen to Obi-Wan. I mean, he's got some awesome merit behind him. I was going to say he took down General Grievous, but he does that later, and Darth Maul. He does take down both those guys though. He's responsible for both those kills.
Yep, yep.
Maul at this point already, so Anakin should know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like we may have talked about something similar last time, but I wonder how much Obi-Wan has talked to Anakin about Darth Maul. And like,
Oh, you think he doesn't know like that the end of that situation necessarily and Qui-Gon's death?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he does. I don't really see why he wouldn't, but I don't know. I could see it as a moment where Obi-Wan is like, "Ooh, that's when I kind of like came out of my ideals, and I may have actually like killed someone while I was angry." Yeah, I'm
It would
getting
be
a
cool
little.
to hear about that.
I mean, it was still like a justified self-defense kill because Maul was still gonna try and kill Obi-Wan. It wasn't like he was just gonna leave after he killed Qui-Gon, but Obi-Wan is angry and sort of getting a little bit of revenge there. So
The Jedi also are a little inconsistent, maybe, on their philosophy when it comes to killing Sith and general like separatist and bad guys, though. Also, because sometimes they're like more of a mercy mind, but then pretty often they kill them, and there's no real post discussion afterwards about like, was that the right thing to do, or were we kind of operating within a morally gray area when we took a life there? Like even Admiral Trench, like we talked about earlier.
yeah,
Presumably he was killed there, as far as they know, at least. And it was kind of just fine. Like that was an acceptable death.
yeah, it is strange to me, and I think that is like probably, at least in a lot of episodes, pretty intentional that like they sort of justify a lot of stuff after the fact, like within their own dogma and everything. And it's the whole thing of like them being generals now, and like they're like, well, we're supposed to be peacekeepers, not like warriors. And then it's like, okay, well, a lot of them now just have the viewpoint of like, well, in order to keep the peace, we have to be warriors.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess they have their own like little utilitarian algorithm they run in their head each
yeah,
time. Like,
exactly.
so I
Or
guess
they're
in that
like,
instance of Darth Maul, like if it's a one-on-one fight, it is kind of the morally gray area to kill the person since there's no like exterior threat immediately necessarily.
I guess they're like, oh, well, he'll go on to kill more people and pose a danger to the Jedi. But that's when they're getting into like Minority Report territory of like, oh, what we're killing people to prevent potential future crimes.
Yeah.
I won't say too much about this now because it is pretty baked in some big Clone Wars spoilers, but I'm reading a book right now called Dark Disciple. And it is a frustrating thing about Clone Wars is it does get canceled after season 5 and it does get brought back for season 6 and 7, but there are still a lot of arcs that they fully scripted out and even storyboarded and then never produced. And then for season 6 and 7 they kind of had to like pick a couple of their favorite ones that they wanted to do. And so there are still, unfortunately, several arcs that just never got made, and they seem really cool. They seem like they might have been some of the coolest stuff. But this one, there are 5 episodes that got turned into a book, which is nice. And this book totally reads exactly like within the tone of like the best Clone Wars episodes, and it's really awesome to read.
That's
and
cool.
I don't really even want to say too much about what it's about, but it does talk about, the reason why I bring it up is because it talks about that specifically a lot, about the Jedi coming to a conclusion where they think that the only way forward is to execute Count Dooku, and they're like, look, we've come into contact with him before. There have been times where we've like fought him and maybe he could have died in that battle, but he's always kind of overpowered us in a straight fight. So, he's killed too many innocent people and more innocent people will continue to die because of him. So we need to actually resort to assassination tactics to get rid of him. And of course, it's Mace Windu who's leading this charge, and a lot of the Jedi are like, execute? Like, you're talking about like executing someone? Like, what are we doing? And they're like, well, hey, we don't like it, but it seems like the only option, and like all this. So it gets into that conversation in a pretty interesting way, I think.
That sounds really cool. Wait, so that was one of the scrapped plots from that they like got cut off from doing because the season got canceled, I guess.
Yep.
Wow. Do you, in general, like season 6 and 7? Do you think they're good too?
Yes, for sure. I do. I do find it slightly frustrating though, because they have some of the best arcs ever, and the last 4 episodes of season 7 are like the best Clone Wars stuff ever. So it ends on the most absolute high note possible, in my opinion. However, the first 4 episodes of that season are some of the most boring and pointless ones, and it's like, oh my god, we got 12 more episodes after like 5 years of the show being off the air, and this is how you choose to spend 4 of them?
Yeah, I'd be pissed if they did like a bomb bad Jedi if I'd waited so long or something like that,
In season 6, they literally have 2 episodes that are like a Mace Windu Jar Jar thing, and it's like, come on, like, these are the last things we're ever getting from this. Like, please adapt the cool ones. There's like a whole thing of Yoda. You know how it's a thing of like the Trandoshans, like Bosk, and the lizard bounty hunters. They like love killing Wookiees.
I didn't know that was a thing specifically.
Well, they love killing Wookiees, and So there's a whole arc where the Trandoshans ally with the Separatists and invade Kashyyyk, and then Yoda is like sent in there to help, and there's a whole thing of like the clones want to burn down these sacred trees that the Wookiees have because they will like give them a tactical advantage and like create some cover or something, and then the Wookiees obviously are like, no, you can't burn down our sacred trees, and then it's the whole thing of like, but your people are being killed, like what is it worth it to you, blah blah blah. And then I don't know how it gets resolved because all we really have for this one is like a little synopsis, but then Yoda mediates and figures out a solution, and that's why Yoda has good relations with the Wookiees, and that's
Oh
why.
no! Oh, so that we don't get that episode?
No, we don't.
Oh my god! All right, man. Well, once we finish Clone Wars, we need to get together and we need to fan write that episode. Then we'll use our profits from the podcast to fan animate that one as well.
Totally. I when we're done, because that one I told you of, because it doesn't really have any. It stands alone. It doesn't really have any like spoilers for the rest of the series, but there are a lot of arcs that I can't really say what they're about. But once we finish, we'll talk about all the canceled episodes. That there's the Dark Disciple, the 5 episodes got turned into a book, and then there's one more called Son of Dathomir that got adapted into a 4-part comic book miniseries. So we'll for sure read that because it is actually, some of these are like really frustrating that they didn't get animated because there are tons of episodes building and building, and then the conclusion never got made. And that miniseries is the conclusion to a massive overarching storyline from seasons like 4 and 5, and it's the conclusion to it, and it never got made. But at least we have a comic of it. So,
but you know, to throw a positive veneer on it, and I'm sure there is some frustration with that. It's kind of awesome that there's 7 seasons of this. I mean, I think that is a lot more than you would typically get maybe from other IP projects like this. They're trying to do some actual like longevity storytelling. So it's exciting that we have all this to go through.
I mean, I agree, and can't be too upset. But it's just like when you get certain arcs of like 4 episodes about some droids fucking around or whatever. It's like, okay, these got made, and the ones about the Trandoshans like burning down the Wookiee village and Yoda coming in and helping, and political arguments between the clones and the Wookiees. Like, come on, like
Yeah.
that's what we want to see. I don't want to fucking see the droids and Jar Jar Binks and stuff.
Isn't it funny how like C-3PO and R2-D2, by the way, were in these Zillow episodes, but we don't even mention them because they're so irrelevant. They're just running in the background. Like, nah.
There's a part where Palpatine has to grab onto R2 and hold him for a little jetpack moment.
R2 saving Darth Sidious. Didn't have that on my Star Wars bingo list.
Well, if you knew anything about Star Wars, it should have been the free space, Ryan.
Okay. My bad.
No, I'm just kidding, actually. I wonder if that has happened. I would need to rewatch the opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith to see if R2 was involved in saving Palpatine at all, really.
Yeah, at what point is he like incinerating other droids? What was that?
Yeah. That's there.
Okay,
yeah. He's like spraying oil onto all the droids and then lighting them on fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, quick question. So once we finish Clone Wars, like outside of comic book or books or anything like that, what's the next like media thing we'd be jumping into if you know yet? I don't know if you've thought that far out.
Yeah, it would be Rebels.
That's another animated show, right?
Yes. So that's kind of the next thing. And it starts, let me see. It starts only a little bit before, it starts like a year before the first Disney movie comes out. So after Clone Wars, really after the first 5 seasons of Clone Wars, because then it gets canceled and then comes back later.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we'll
what are we
take
going to do? Okay, I was going to say.
break.
Yeah.
go to Rebels. Well, I mean, we'll just do it all in release order. But yeah, Rebels would be the next big thing.
You should make
And
me wait as long as the gap for Clone Wars as everyone else had to, so I don't get
yeah,
any special treatment.
totally. I think for season 6 it was only a couple years, but then season 7 was like 5 years.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, maybe not then. Although we have enough content if we wanted to wait that long.
Totally. I mean, we skipped some comics. We could go back and.
There's a ton of books.
Oh yeah, well, we should, video games too.
Stop doing board games also. So. I'm sure there's been a lot of those.
There have been, but it just it's been, I think that approach worked well in the beginning when there wasn't like so much stuff coming out all the time.
Yeah.
Where we could really dive into like almost everything. And now that there's like a million things coming out every year, it's like, okay, we got to just kind of pick the main things. And then also, I would consider video games to be one of the main things, but they just take a long time to get through. So it's hard to like do that on a schedule, obviously. But
yeah, I still need to finish Knights of the Old Republic. My save file got corrupted though, because I'm playing on Switch, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go through and do like my 14 hours again.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's one of those that might be a few years before you're like, okay, I think I could start this over. But
I also though keep seeing these YouTube videos that's like the entire history of like Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm like, maybe I should just watch one of those at some point. But I don't know if I'd be spoiling anything from anything else we're going to cover. So that's the only reason I hold back.
No, I mean, I would say those games, the two games, and then they tie a lot into like the Knights of the Old Republic comic, but that's a prequel to the game, so you wouldn't really be spoiling too much.
I think there's MMO lore though too that ties into all of that as well, right?
There is, and I was about to bring that up actually, and there are a couple novels and things too about like Darth Revan and Malik and those guys, which you still don't know the identity of Revan or anything.
Isn't it Kylo Ren?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I don't know why for the whole time, like whenever I saw people playing Darth Revan as a leader for Star Wars Unlimited, I just thought that was like Kylo Ren in his armor, like with the helmet on.
It does look similar, but no, it's a different guy. Darth Revan is like,
who's Kylo Ren? Oh, never mind. I don't know who that is.
I know Kybo Ren from the Droids cartoon.
Yeah,
but that's the only guy I know. But I was about to bring up the MMO. The MMO is just called The Old Republic, and we've passed when it came out now by a little bit. But it came out in 2009, and we're in like 2010, 11-ish. However, I would say for the next episode, we've only got 3 Clone Wars episodes to watch. So we will watch those 3 and finish the season. And I will send you an email with all this so you don't have to remember. But for the Old Republic MMO, they put out these extremely nicely animated FMVs, I guess, or
what does that mean?
Full motion videos. Like they're just like pre-rendered CGI cutscenes, really. But it's not like they're not cutscenes from the game. They're just like ads, I guess, really. But they're like little 3-minute animated videos that are so awesome. And I think we should watch those.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very cool.
They're super sick, and I think if you watch them and you're interested and you want to just do a little research about like, oh, what is the context of this and everything, like no pressure to do that, but totally go for it if you do want to, because all that Old Republic stuff is pretty contained in its own world, and we won't really come across it in other stuff we're covering, especially after 2015. It all gets wiped away. But it is still really cool. and some of like the best lightsaber fighting you'll ever see is in these videos. So
Okay, good to know.
they're awesome.
I'll definitely check those out then.
Yeah, I'll compile them all and put them in a email. Send you the links to them. I think there's only like 4 or 5 of them, and they're all like 3 minutes long. But they're
By the
really
way,
cool.
you made me think of this. Are you still reading through like, or did you start House of X, Powers of X?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, eventually when you get into it, obviously don't look at this video before you actually finish reading that. But the Marvel also put together like a 4 to 5 minute animation, maybe it's like 3 minutes or so. It's like a Welcome to Krakoa kind of like tourist video that has a pretty fun animation style, 2D animation. And it like sort of goes over a lot of like the key components of the island, and I think it's pretty awesome. So check
That's
that out
cool.
too. Yeah.
I definitely will. I for sure will. Well, do you have anything else about these episodes or anything to get off your chest?
There was a string of murders in 1998 in Baton Rouge. No, nothing else. Nothing else.
Wow, I didn't know you spent time in Louisiana.
No, I'm not going to talk. I actually decided I'm not going to talk about that. So, nothing to get off my chest. My conscience is clean.
Okay. And you know what? I guess that's on me for assuming you were talking about you spending time there.
Yeah, I was. I was there.
Okay. Okay. You don't have to say anything else if you don't.
I'm not going.
want to.
No, I don't want to incriminate, or I don't want to talk about it here.
Okay, that's fine. You're allowed. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Can you send me the edit of this so I can make sure that you cut some things out? Just
For sure. I will.
earlier things, and I'll make my own cuts too.
Stuff from like the beginning of the episode, probably
Yeah, I
mostly.
think I said my social at one point.
Yeah, that's right. You flash your insurance card up on the screen. I will keep that in there.
It's true, actually.
I think that was before we were recording.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much information that that would be super useful on this.
Yeah, it was blurry too. Yeah, well, for next episode, we'll finish season 2 and we'll watch and talk about the rest of those Old Republic vids. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool.